The pen in David Epstein's hand, our real estate agent, hovers over the signature line. He's got that eager, commission-scented smile plastered on his face. Just sign here, Marcus, and the dream is yours. My dream, our dream, Sarah's and mine. The little two-story colonial with the wraparound porch and the big oak tree in the backyard. The one we'd scrimped and saved for 5 long years. $50,000. $50,000. All ready for the down payment. I reach for the pen, a matching eager grin trying to form on my own face, but it feels stiff, unnatural. A nervous habit, I tap my phone screen, waking it up. Just a quick glance at the joint savings account. The numbers should be there, pristine and reassuring. A final, satisfying confirmation before I take the plunge. The banking app loads. My heart stutters. No, that can't be right. The balance reads $17.32. $17.32. The metallic taste of panic floods my mouth, sharp and bitter. My hand, the one reaching for David's pen, trembles. I pull it back, clenching it into a fist on my lap. David's smile flickers, a brief spark of confusion in his eyes. "Marcus, everything all right?" he asks, his voice a little too smooth. "I can't breathe. The numbers on the screen don't change. They mock me. $17.32. Where is it? Where's our future?" My mind races. A chaotic slideshow of late nights working, skipped vacations, Sarah's promises. This time it's different, Marcus. I swear I'm getting help. The dream, so vivid, so close just moments ago, begins to shatter. The image of the colonial, the porch, the oak tree. It all cracks and splinters, the pieces plummeting into a dark, sickening void in my stomach. "Just 1 second, I manage, my voice a strained whisper. I stand, my legs feeling like ill-fitting stilts. "I need to make a quick call." David's professional veneer is slipping. "Is there a problem with the funds?" "A problem? Oh, you could say that, David. You could definitely say there's a fucking problem." No, just procedure," I lie, forcing a weak smile. It feels like a grimace. I walk towards the office door, each step heavy, deliberate. A quiet, power move, I tell myself. Though inside I'm a collapsing building. I need to get out of this room before I either throw up or scream. Maybe both. Once in the hallway, the oppressive politeness of the office replaced by the sterile silence of institutional carpet and fluorescent lights, I dial Sarah's number. My thumb hovers over her contact photo. That smiling, bright-eyed woman I thought I knew. The woman I was about to chain myself to with a 30-year mortgage. It rings. Once, twice, 3 times. Then, voicemail. "Hey, it's Sarah. Leave a message and I'll get back to you." Her voice, so cheerful, so carefree. It's like a knife twisting in my gut. I hang up. Redial? Straight to voicemail. A cold dread, colder than the panic, begins to seep into my bones. She knows. She knows I'd be seeing the account today. She knows, and she's avoiding me. Again. The word echoes in my mind, a familiar, painful refrain. This isn't the first time, but it was supposed to be the last. The absolute, positively, cross my heart and hope to die last time. I stumble out of the real estate office, mumbling some incoherent excuse to a baffled David Epstein. The sunlight outside feels like an accusation. How can the world be so bright when mine has just imploded? My car, our car, is parked across the street. I walk towards it, my feet moving on autopilot. My mind is still stuck on those mocking numbers. $17.32. What am I going to do? The house is gone. That much is clear. But what about Sarah? What about us? The questions churn, making me feel sick. I need answers. I need to know why. Again. I get into the car. The familiar scent of Sarah's vanilla air freshener, usually a comfort, now feels cloying, suffocating. My eyes scan the interior, desperately searching for something. An explanation. A clue. Anything. And then I see it, tucked into the side pocket of the passenger door, almost hidden beneath a crumpled coffee napkin. A small, folded piece of paper. Not just one, several. My hand shakes as I reach for them. Casino receipts, slot machines, blackjack, dates from the last 3 weeks. Amounts that make my vision blur. Small at first, then larger, then frighteningly large. Hundreds, thousands. Adding up, I'm sure, to the exact, soul-crushing sum of our vanished dreams. $50,000. Gone. Not just gone from the account, but physically, tangibly accounted for in these little slips of betrayal. The receipts feel like lead weights in my hand, each one a separate betrayal, a separate lie. Sarah's smiling face from her contact photo flashes in my mind again, but this time it's overlaid with the garish, flashing lights of a casino floor, the relentless, empty chiming of slot machines. The metallic taste in my mouth intensifies. It's not just panic anymore. It's the bitter, unmistakable taste of pure, unadulterated betrayal. My phone is still in my other hand. I should call her again, scream at her, demand an explanation. But what's the point? The receipts are the explanation. They're the neon sign flashing she did it again. I start the car. The engine a dull roar that does nothing to drown out the screaming in my head. I don't know where I'm going. Maybe home. Our home. The place where all our broken promises live. The place where I have to face her. The place where this, whatever this is now, will finally, truly end. The drive is a blur. Traffic lights change, cars honk, pedestrians cross, but I see none of it. All I see is that $17.32, those casino receipts, and Sarah's lying eyes. How could she? After everything. After all the therapy she supposedly went to, all the tearful apologies, all the solemn vows. Had any of it been real? I remember the first time. 2 years ago. A smaller amount, thankfully. "Just a slip, Marcus," she'd cried. "It got out of hand. I was stressed. It won't happen again." And I, like a fool, believed her. We'd worked through it, or so I thought. We'd set up new rules, new boundaries. Therapy was her idea. "I need professional help," she'd said. And a part of me, the hopeful part, had admired her for it. Then there was the incident with her credit card a few months later. Maxed out on online poker sites. More tears, more promises. "This is the last time, Marcus. I'm ashamed. I'll get serious about recovery." She'd cut up the card in front of me. A symbolic gesture. Meaningless, apparently. Each time I'd picked up the pieces. Each time I'd allowed myself to believe that this time would be different. We were saving for this house. This was supposed to be our fresh start, our tangible proof that we'd overcome it, that she'd overcome it. The $50,000 was more than just money. It was a symbol of trust rebuilt, of a future secured. And now this, the biggest betrayal of all. Not just the money, but the calculated deception. The weeks of her knowing this closing was coming, of her watching me get excited, of her pretending everything was fine, while she was sneaking off to casinos, pissing away our future one chip, one spin, one hand at a time. The anger, a hot, surging wave, finally breaks through the shock. It trembles through me, a raw, visceral force. I grip the steering wheel so hard my knuckles are white. I want to hit something. I want to scream until my lungs give out. But as I pull up to our small, rented apartment, the one we were so desperate to leave behind, a strange calmness descends, the kind of calm that comes before a hurricane. The casino receipts are still clutched in my hand. Evidence, that's what they are. and I apparently am the prosecuting attorney in the trial of my own life. I turn off the engine. The silence in the car is deafening, broken only by my own ragged breathing. Sarah's car isn't here. Good. It gives me time. Time to prepare. Time to let the reality of what she's done settle into every nerve, every cell. Time for the betrayal to crystallize into something hard, something sharp, something I can use. Because one thing is for certain. This time, there will be no more tears, no more empty promises, no more picking up the pieces. This time, everything shatters for good. I wait. The casino receipts are spread across our small kitchen table like evidence at a crime scene, each flimsy slip a testament to her deceit. The anger from the car ride has cooled, hardened into a dense, cold knot in my chest. It's a more dangerous anger, I realize. Quieter, more resolute. Hours pass. The afternoon sun crawls across the floor, casting long, accusing shadows. Every creak of the old apartment building, every distant siren, every footstep in the hallway above makes me jump. I drink coffee, black and bitter, pacing the confines of our living room, a caged animal waiting for the zookeeper. What will I say? How will I say it? Will I shout? Will I cry? Or will I just show her the receipts and watch her world implode, just like she did to mine? The image of the empty savings account, $17.32, is seared into my brain. It's become a symbol of her betrayal, of 5 years of hope and hard work turned to ash. I keep replaying David Epstein's confused face, the way his smile faltered. The humiliation burns, fresh and raw. Our dream house, the one with the wraparound porch and the oak tree, feels like a phantom limb now, an ache for something that was never really there. Finally, I hear it. The sound of Sarah's key turning in the lock. My breath catches. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the sudden, suffocating silence of the apartment. This is it. The door opens, and she steps inside, a bright, forced smile on her face. "Hey, sorry I'm late, my phone died, and then traffic was—" Her voice trails off as she sees me, standing by the kitchen table. Her eyes, those wide, innocent eyes I used to love, dart to the receipts. The color drains from her face. The forced smile evaporates. "Marcus," she breathes, her voice suddenly small, fragile. What's all this?" As if she doesn't know. The question itself is another lie, another layer of the elaborate deceit she's woven. My own voice, when it comes, is surprisingly steady, devoid of the tremor I feel inside. "That's what I was about to ask you, Sarah." I gesture towards the damning collection of paper. "What is all this?" She doesn't answer. Her gaze is fixed on the receipts, her body rigid. I can see the denial warring with the inevitable truth in her eyes. She opens her mouth, then closes it again, like a fish gasping for air. "We had an appointment today, Sarah," I continue, my tone measured, deadly calm. This quiet power is new to me, born of a pain so profound it transcends rage. "With David, to sign the papers for the house, our house." She flinches at the word house. Her eyes lift to mine, and I see the first flicker of panic. Good. Let her feel a fraction of what I felt staring at that empty bank account. I forgot," she stammers, clutching her purse to her chest like a shield. "You forgot?" I echo, a humorless laugh escaping me. "You forgot we were buying a house today? After 5 years of saving? You forgot the $50,000 we had for the down payment?" I pause, letting the words hang in the air heavy and sharp. "Or did you just forget to tell me you'd already spent it?" Her face crumbles. The fight, what little there was, goes out of her. Tears well in her eyes, spilling down her cheeks. The breakdown begins, right on cue. It's a performance I've seen before, but this time the script has changed. This time I'm not the forgiving audience. "Marcus, I can explain," she sobs, taking a hesitant step towards me. "Can you, Sarah?" I say, my voice still quiet, but with an edge of steel I didn't know I possessed. "Can you explain $50,000? Can you explain these?" I tap the receipts, because they seem pretty self-explanatory to me. I messed up," she chokes out, the tears coming faster now. "I messed up so bad." "Messed up doesn't quite cover it, does it?" I say. "Messed up is when you burn dinner. This..." I sweep my hand over the receipts again. "This is something else entirely." She sinks into a kitchen chair, her shoulders shaking. The purse drops to the floor with a soft thud. "I was going to win it back," she whispers, her voice muffled by her hands. "I was so close. I just needed a little more..." The classic gambler's fallacy. The siren song that's lured her onto the rocks time and time again and dragged me down with her. "Win it back?" I repeat, incredulous. "You were winning back the money for our house? Our future? Is that what you're telling me?" The dam of my composure finally cracks. The cold anger erupts, hot and furious. "Do you have any idea what you've done, Sarah? Any idea at all?" My voice rises, no longer calm, no longer measured. "That was everything. 5 years of my life, of our lives, gone, pissed away in some mindless machine, some stupid card game." She looks up, her face streaked with tears and mascara. "I know, okay, I know, I'm a horrible person, I'm sick." "Sick?" I shoot back. "You told me you were getting help. You swore to me. You looked me in the eye and promised me you were going to therapy, that you were dealing with this." This is the core of it, the deepest wound. Not just the money, but the lies. The betrayal of trust that had been so painstakingly, tentatively rebuilt. I was..." she stammers, her gaze dropping to the floor. "Were you, Sarah?" I press, stepping closer, leaning over the table. "Or was that just another lie? Another way to keep me off your back while you continue to destroy everything we had?" Her silence is the answer. It's a confession more damning than any words. The therapy sessions, the support groups, the earnest discussions about her triggers and coping mechanisms, all of it a charade, a carefully constructed illusion to enable her addiction. The revelation devastates me anew. It's one thing to lose money. It's another to realize the person you've shared your life with, the person you've loved and trusted, is a stranger, a consummate liar. "Who, Sarah?" I ask, the question forming out of a sudden, chilling thought. "Who convinced you to gamble this time? Or was this all you?" She hesitates, a new kind of fear in her eyes. It doesn't matter." "Oh, I think it does," I say, my voice dangerously soft. "Because last time you blamed your old college roommate, said she was a bad influence. The time before it was stress from work. There's always someone. Something else, isn't there? Never just you, Sarah. Never just your choices. There was this guy at one of the online forums," she mumbles, not meeting my eyes. "He had a system. He said it was foolproof. He convinced me it was a sure thing, a way to double the down payment, surprise you." Surprise me. The audacity of it takes my breath away. Double the down payment. Instead, she's left us with $17.32 and a pile of broken dreams. The mention of someone, a faceless enabler, just adds another layer of sickness to the whole thing. Was this person real? Or just another figment of her desperate excuse-making imagination? The relationship, our relationship, already fractured and fragile, implodes right there in our tiny kitchen. The weight of this final, catastrophic betrayal is too much to bear. The love I felt for her, the hope I'd clung to, crumbles into dust. "I can't do this anymore, Sarah," I say, the words feeling like they're being ripped from my soul. "I can't. You've made your choice." Her head snaps up. "No, Marcus, please, don't say that. We can fix this. I can fix this." Fix this? I stare at her, at the desperate, pleading woman who has systematically destroyed my life. How, Sarah? How are you going to fix $50,000? How are you going to fix 5 years of lies? She starts to talk about getting a loan, about working double shifts, about selling her grandmother's jewelry, the same desperate, unfeasible plans she'd proposed before. But I'm not listening anymore. I'm looking at her, really looking at her, and I see the addiction staring back at me, a hungry, insatiable beast wearing Sarah's face. "And the therapy, Sarah?" I interrupt, my voice flat. "Were you even going, or was that just part of the show?" She stares at me, her mouth slightly open. The tears have stopped, replaced by a look of pure, cornered panic. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't have to. That's the final nail. The ultimate deception. She'd been lying about getting help. Lying about the one thing, the only thing, that had given me a sliver of hope that she could change, that we could survive this. I step back from the table. A sudden, profound exhaustion washes over me, heavier than the anger, heavier than the grief. "Get out," I say, the words barely a whisper, but carrying the unmistakable weight of finality. "What?" she asks, her voice trembling. "Get out," I repeat, louder this time, pointing towards the door. "Pack your things. I want you gone. Tonight." The fight, the tears, the pleading, it all drains away, leaving her looking small and broken. But I can't find it in me to feel pity. Not anymore. All I feel is a vast, empty space where my love for her used to be. She nods slowly, a single tear tracing a path through the mascara on her cheek. She pushes herself up from the chair, her movements jerky, uncoordinated. She doesn't look at me as she walks out of the kitchen, towards the bedroom, towards the life we no longer share. I stand there for a long time, staring at the receipts, at the empty chair where she sat. The silence in the apartment is different now. It's not the silence of anticipation anymore. It's the silence of an ending, the silence of a future erased, and in that silence, a new feeling begins to take root, something cold and hard and unyielding. Revenge might be too strong a word, or maybe, just maybe, it's exactly the right one. 3 weeks. 3 weeks since Sarah walked out, a single suitcase and a cloud of broken promises trailing behind her. 3 weeks of learning to live alone in the echo chamber of our old apartment. The silence is still the loudest thing, a constant reminder of what's been lost, what's been shattered. I've canceled the dream house, of course. David Epstein was surprisingly understanding, or maybe just eager to cut his losses. The $50,000 is a ghost, haunting my bank statements, my waking thoughts, my fitful, angry dreams. I'm in the process of finding a new place myself, something smaller, something just for me. Something without the lingering scent of her vanilla air freshener, which I've long since thrown in the trash, though the memory of it, like her, still clings to the air sometimes. I'm boxing up her remaining things, clothes she didn't take, books, little trinkets that once held meaning but now just feel like artifacts from a failed archaeological dig. Each item is a fresh stab, a reminder of the life we were supposed to build, the life she gambled away. It's a Saturday morning. I'm wrestling with a particularly large box of her winter sweaters when I hear it. the unmistakable rumble of a moving truck outside. Curiosity, or maybe just a desperate need for any distraction, pulls me to the window. I peer through the dusty blinds. A large, slightly battered moving truck is parked directly next door, in front of the house Mrs. Henderson used to live in before she moved to Florida. My heart gives a strange little lurch. I hadn't realized the house had even been up for rent. And then I see her. Sarah. She's stepping out of the passenger side of a beat-up sedan, looking tired and stressed, but unmistakably Sarah. My Sarah. No, not my Sarah anymore. Just Sarah. My breath catches in my throat. The box of sweaters thuds to the floor, forgotten. I recoil from the window as if burned. What is she doing here? It can't be. It's a cruel coincidence. It has to be. I watch, hidden behind the blinds, as she starts directing two movers, pointing towards the front door of Mrs. Henderson's old house. And then another figure emerges from the driver's side of the car. Amy, Sarah's younger sister. Practical, no-nonsense Amy, who always looked at me with a mixture of pity and disapproval, especially after Sarah's lips. They're moving in, next door. Sarah is moving in next door. My initial shock quickly morphs into a simmering, incredulous anger. Of all the houses, all the neighborhoods in this entire sprawling city, she chooses this one? The one directly beside me? Is this some kind of twisted joke? A deliberate provocation? Or is she simply that clueless, that insensitive to the inferno of pain she's already put me through? I freeze, my mind racing. My apartment, once a refuge of sorts, a place where I was slowly, painfully starting to heal, suddenly feels like a cage. A cage with a direct view into the life of the woman who destroyed mine. The smell of cardboard boxes from my own packing mingles with the phantom scent of Sarah's perfume, a suffocating combination. My hand clenches. This is unacceptable. I won't have it. I can't. I won't be subjected to the daily torture of her presence, of seeing her, of knowing she's just a few feet away, a constant, living reminder of her betrayal. My anger, which had begun to dull into a throbbing ache, now sharpens again, focusing into a pinpoint of cold fury. I need to know what's going on. I need to know how this happened. Later that day, after the moving truck has rumbled away and a tense, unnatural quiet has settled over our little street, I see a frail, elderly Asian man tending the small, slightly overgrown rose bushes in front of Mrs. Sarah's new front yard. He moves slowly, with the careful deliberation of age. I've seen him around before, a fleeting presence, but never spoken to him. This is my chance. I walk outside, my heart pounding a nervous rhythm against my ribs. "Excuse me?" I call out, trying to keep my voice casual, friendly. The old man straightens up slowly, a pair of rusty gardening shears in his gloved hand. He has kind eyes, crinkled at the corners, but they look tired, shadowed with a worry that seems too heavy for his slight frame. "Hello?" he says, his voice soft, accented. "I'm Marcus," I say, offering a hand. "I live next door." He takes my hand, his grip surprisingly firm. "Mr. Chen," he replies, "I am the owner of this house." The landlord. My mind starts to whirl. "Oh," I say, trying to sound surprised. "I saw the new tenants moving in this morning. Didn't realize Mrs. Henderson had sold the place." Mr. Chen sighs, a weary, gusty sound. "No, not sold. Just renting. Needed to. My wife, she is not well. The medical bills—" He gestures vaguely, his eyes clouding over. "Very expensive. I needed the income. The property taxes, too. They keep going up." My simmering anger towards Sarah takes a momentary backseat to a pang of sympathy for this old man. He looks overwhelmed, burdened. And now, unwittingly, He's rented his house to the woman who is the source of my own financial and emotional ruin. The irony is almost too much to bear. I'm sorry to hear about your wife, I say, and I mean it. He nods, a sad little smile touching his lips. Thank you. She is a good woman. It is difficult. He looks at the house, then back at me. The new tenants, a young woman and her sister, seemed nice enough. Paid the deposit, first month's rent, in cash. In cash, of course. Money that should have been part of our $50,000, no doubt. Money that wasn't won back, but probably scrounged from Amy or from some other desperate, last-ditch source. An idea, cold and sharp, begins to form in my mind. An idea that's audacious, vengeful, and utterly, terrifyingly possible. I look at Mr. Chen, at his tired eyes, his stooped shoulders. He's in financial trouble. He needs money. He's vulnerable. And I have a new purpose. Mr. Chen, I begin, a plan already taking shape, a quiet power move of a different sort beginning to stir within me. How much are they paying in rent, if you don't mind my asking? He tells me. It's a fair market rate. Maybe a little on the low side, given his clear desperation. My mind races. I still have some investments, money I'd earmarked for retirement, for a future that now looks very different. It's not the $50,000 Sarah stole that's gone forever, but it's enough. Or it could be. Mr. Chen, I say, my voice calm, my decision solidifying with every beat of my angry heart. Have you ever considered selling this house? He looks at me, surprised. Selling? I don't know. It has been in my wife's family for many years. I understand, I say. But you mentioned the medical bills, the taxes. Selling might alleviate some of that pressure, give you peace of mind, perhaps even enough to get your wife better care. I see the flicker of interest in his eyes, the desperate hope warring with his sentimental attachment. He's in financial trouble. Deep trouble, I suspect. And I, Marcus, the man whose life was just financially demolished by the woman now living in Mr. Chen's house, might just be his unlikely savior. And her worst nightmare. The pieces are falling into place. Sarah moving in next door isn't a cruel joke, it's an opportunity for a reckoning, an opportunity for a kind of justice that the universe, in its twisted way, has just handed me on a silver platter. The section cliffhanger is clear in my mind. Mr. Chen is in financial trouble, and I'm about to make him an offer he can't refuse. The thought sends a shiver of cold satisfaction down my spine. Sarah wanted to be my neighbor? Fine. She has no idea who she's about to be living next to, or, more accurately, who she's about to be renting from. My financial advisor, a perpetually tanned man named Leo, with teeth too white to be entirely natural, peers at me over his gold-rimmed glasses. Marcus, are you sure about this? Liquidating these particular retirement funds. There are penalties, significant tax implications. We've always talked about these as your long-term nest egg. I sit across from him in his plush, climate-controlled office, the scent of expensive leather and subtle cologne filling the air. It's a world away from the chaos of my emotions, the raw, jagged edges of my current reality. I'm sure, Leo, I say, my voice firm, betraying none of the internal turmoil. The scratch of my pen as I sign the necessary documents is the only sound for a moment. A small, decisive noise, sealing a monumental shift in my financial landscape. The retirement I'd envisioned, early, comfortable, maybe a little place by the coast, is dissolving with each stroke of ink. But a new, more immediate, and far more compelling vision is taking its place. This house you're buying, Leo continues, shuffling papers. It's an investment property then? Not for you to live in? That's right, I say, keeping my tone neutral. An investment, though retribution might be a more accurate term. He nods, ever the professional. Well, the market in that area is stable. Rentals are in demand. It could be a solid move, long-term. Risky, pulling from your retirement, but potentially solid. He has no idea of the real game I'm playing, the personal, high-stakes nature of this particular investment. Liquidating a significant chunk of my retirement savings feels like another kind of amputation, another piece of my future being sacrificed. But the thought of Sarah, living so close, so smugly unaware, fuels my resolve. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about control. It's about taking back some semblance of power in a situation where I felt utterly powerless. She'd gambled away our shared future. I would now, quite literally, own hers. The next step is Mr. Chen. I wait a few days, letting him stew in his financial worries, letting the seed I planted, the idea of selling, take root. Then I approach him. Not at his house, not with Sarah or Amy potentially lurking, but with a formal, respectful phone call. Mr. Chen, I begin, my voice calm, businesslike. Marcus Thorne here, from next door. I've been giving our conversation some thought, and I'd like to make you an offer for your property. There's a long pause on the other end of the line. I can hear his shallow, hopeful breathing. An offer? He finally says, his voice trembling slightly. Yes, sir, a cash offer. I can close quickly. No banks, no lengthy approval processes, just a straightforward sale to help you with your situation. I calculate my words carefully, maneuvering him gently but firmly towards the outcome I desire. I name my price. It's below market value, significantly so. Enough to be a tempting lifeline for him, but also a strategic move for me, preserving as much of my depleted capital as possible. This isn't about making a killing in real estate. It's about acquiring a specific asset for a specific purpose. He hesitates. That's less than I hoped for, Mr. Thorne. The house, it has good bones. My wife, she loves the garden. I understand, Mr. Chen, I say, my voice softening with feigned sympathy, and I respect that. But a cash offer, a quick close, that has its own value, doesn't it? Especially when time is a factor. I let the unspoken implications of his wife's medical bills hang in the air. I'm not proud of leveraging his desperation, but Sarah's face, her casual destruction of my life, hardens my heart. This is strategy, pure and simple. Let me talk to my wife, he says, his voice weary. I will call you back. The waiting is torture. Every hour stretches into an eternity. I replay the conversation, analyzing his tone, his hesitations. Did I offer too little? Did I push too hard? The plan, so clear and righteous in my mind, suddenly feels precarious. And then, as if summoned by the universe's twisted sense of humor, there's a knock on my apartment door. I open it to find Sarah standing there, an awkward, hesitant smile on her face. She's holding a plate covered in plastic wrap. Hi, she says, her voice a little too bright. Amy and I made lasagna. We made way too much. Thought you might want some? My eyes narrow. Lasagna? Is she serious? After everything? The audacity is breathtaking. This isn't an olive branch, it's a reconnaissance mission. She's testing the waters, trying to gauge my reaction to her new proximity. Or maybe she's just that oblivious. No, thank you, Sarah, I say, my voice flat, cold. I make no move to take the plate. Her smile falters. Oh, okay, well just, if you change your mind. She lingers, clearly expecting an invitation in, a conversation, some sign that I'm not entirely immune to her presence. Just then, my phone buzzes in my pocket. Caller ID. Mr. Chen. My heart leaps. This is it. I have to take this. I say, already turning away from her, reaching for my phone. The mini cliffhanger of her unexpected appearance, her suspicious offer of lasagna during this critical negotiation call, is an irony not lost on me. Her timing, as always, is impeccably disastrous. For her, I close the door in her surprised, slightly offended face and answer the call. "Mr. Chen?" "Mr. Thorne," he says, his voice heavy with resignation, but also a faint trace of relief. "My wife and I, we have discussed your offer. It is acceptable." A wave of triumph, cold and fierce, washes over me. "Excellent, Mr. Chen. I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers immediately." The purchase goes through with surprising speed. Cash offers have that effect. Within 2 weeks, Mrs. Henderson's old house, Sarah's new rental, is mine. Mine. The deeds are signed, the money transferred. Mr. Chen, with a mixture of sadness and gratitude, hands over the keys and a copy of Sarah and Amy's lease agreement. He looks years younger, the crushing weight of his financial burdens visibly lifted. I almost feel a pang of guilt, but then I remember the $17.32, and the feeling vanishes. Sarah doesn't know. She has no idea that her new, unassuming landlord, the elderly Mr. Chen, has been replaced. She has no idea that the man whose life she systematically dismantled, the man she's now trying to placate with leftover lasagna, is the one who holds the power to dictate the terms of her living situation. The section cliffhanger is delicious. The purchase is complete, a silent coup. She's living in my house, playing nice, completely oblivious to the storm that's about to break. The anticipation of the reveal, of the moment I inform her of this new dynamic, is a potent, intoxicating thing. I strategize. I plan. This won't be a rash, angry outburst. This will be calculated, professional, devastating. The house next door, once a symbol of her audacious proximity, is now the stage for my perfectly orchestrated revenge. And I, Marcus Thorne, am about to become the landlord from hell. The official notice feels cool and crisp in my hand, the cheap paper belying the weight of its contents. It's a standard rent increase form, downloaded from a legal website, filled out with meticulous, impersonal precision. The new rental amount is exactly 20% higher than what she was paying Mr. Chen, the maximum allowable increase without triggering more complex legal justifications in our city. It's aggressive but defensible. And, more importantly, it's designed to inflict immediate financial pain. I stand on her doorstep, the doorstep of my house. It's a surreal feeling. Just a few weeks ago, I was dreaming of my own front porch, my own oak tree. Now I own this slightly faded blue colonial, not as a home, but as a weapon. I ring the doorbell. I hear muffled sounds from within, then footsteps approaching. The door swings open, and Sarah stands there, a surprised, slightly wary expression on her face. She's wearing an old, paint-stained sweatshirt. One of mine, I realize with a fresh pang of anger. "Marcus," she says, her voice laced with confusion, "what are you doing here?" I offer a tight, professional smile. No trace of the seething anger, the triumphant satisfaction that's churning inside me. "Good morning, Sarah. I'm here on official business." I hold out the notice. The texture of the legal document in my hands feels symbolic, a tangible representation of the power shift. She eyes the paper, then me, her confusion deepening. Hesitantly, she takes it. Her eyes scan the first few lines, then widen. I watch, savoring the slow dawning of comprehension, the way her casual posture stiffens, the color draining from her face for the second time in my presence in as many months. Her eyes fly back to the letterhead. From the office of the landlord. Then down to the signature line, where my name is clearly, legibly printed. Her face changes from confusion to disbelief, then to a dawning, sickening horror. It's a silent, devastating implosion, and I'm there to witness every micro-expression. This moment, this precise moment of her realization is what I've been working towards, what I've sacrificed a piece of my future for. "You?" she finally chokes out, her voice a strangled whisper. "You're the landlord? How?" "Mr. Chen was experiencing some financial difficulties," I explain, my tone deliberately neutral, detached. "I made him an offer he found acceptable. The sale closed last week. I am the new owner of this property. And, as such," I tap the notice in her hand, "I'm informing you of a pending adjustment to your rental agreement." Her eyes, wide and frantic, dart back to the notice, to the new, significantly higher rental figure. "You can't do this," she says, her voice rising, a hysterical edge creeping in. This is harassment. This is illegal." "I assure you, Sarah," I say, my voice still calm, professional, a stark contrast to her escalating panic. "Everything is perfectly legal. The allowable rent increase, the notice period, it's all by the book. You can consult a lawyer if you wish, but they'll tell you the same thing." This quiet power move, this unwavering, legally sound pronouncement seems to unleash a fresh wave of desperation in her. "My lawyer?" she scoffs, though there's a tremor in her voice. "Oh, I'll be calling my lawyer, Marcus. You can't just buy the house someone lives in and then extort them." "Extort?" I raise an eyebrow. "I believe the term is adjusting rent to current market value, reflecting property improvements and increased operating costs." Or something to that effect. It's all in the notice. I allow a small, almost imperceptible smile to touch my lips. She doesn't know about the property improvements I have planned, or how I'll be documenting every single increased operating cost. Sarah is trembling now, the notice crumpled in her white-knuckled fist. "This is because of the 50,000, isn't it? This is your sick way of getting revenge." I meet her accusing gaze, my own expression unreadable. "This is a business transaction, Sarah. I've made an investment, and I expect a reasonable return on that investment. Your personal history with me is irrelevant to the terms of your tenancy." The lie tastes like ashes in my mouth, but the cold satisfaction of her distress is a powerful antidote. I am dominating this exchange, and she knows it. "Irrelevant?" she almost screams. "You're destroying my life!" An interesting choice of words, I say, my voice dropping slightly, a hint of the steel beneath the professional veneer. "Considering?" She deflates, the fight momentarily draining out of her. She understands the implication. She knows what she did. And now, she's beginning to understand the consequences. "What am I supposed to do?" she whispers, her eyes pleading. "Amy and we can't afford this. Not right now." "That, unfortunately, is not my concern as the landlord," I say, the words cold, clinical. "The new rent is due on the 1st of next month. If you're unable to meet the terms of the lease—" I pause, letting the unspoken threat hang in the air. Eviction. The word is a silent bomb between us. Her face is a mask of despair. She's trapped. She knows it. And I know she knows it. This isn't just about the money. It's about control. It's about making her feel even a fraction of the helplessness I felt when I saw that empty bank account, when I realized our dream was gone. "You won't get away with this, Marcus," she says, her voice low, venomous, a spark of her old defiance, the one that always surfaced when she felt cornered. "I believe I already have," I reply softly. I give her one last, lingering look, taking in her shock, her anger, her dawning terror. Then, I turn and walk away. Leaving her standing in the doorway of my house, the crumpled rent increase notice her only company. The walk back to my own apartment feels different, lighter. The air seems cleaner, the sky brighter. The power dynamic has shifted, irrevocably. She is no longer just the woman who betrayed me. She is my tenant. And I have every intention of making her tenancy an experience she will never, ever forget. The mini cliffhanger of her threatening to call her lawyer is almost amusing. Let her. I've done my homework. The section cliffhanger, the unspoken threat of eviction, is far more potent. She's caught in a web of her own making, and I'm the spider who just announced his presence. The game, as they say, is on. Sarah doesn't take it lying down. Of course she doesn't. Within days, her counteroffensive begins. Not with lawyers, as she'd threatened. I suspect a quick consultation revealed the futility of that particular avenue, but with a far more insidious modern weapon: social media. She launches a campaign, a carefully crafted narrative of victimhood. Vague posts at first, hinting at a vindictive ex making her life a living hell. Then, more direct, though still cleverly worded to avoid outright slander. She paints herself as the wronged woman, hounded and harassed, forced into an impossible financial situation by a cruel, controlling former lover. She conveniently omits the $50,000 detail, the casino receipts, the years of lies. Friends, mostly hers, rally to her cause online, offering sympathy, outrage, and emoji-laden support. My own social media notifications start to ping with angry messages from people I barely know, accusing me of all sorts of monstrous behavior. It's a public relations war, and she's surprisingly adept at it. But I'm prepared. I knew she wouldn't go quietly. While she's busy curating her online sob story, I'm engaged in a far more methodical, tangible form of warfare. I become the landlord from hell, but a meticulously documented, legally airtight one. The blue glow of my laptop screen at 2 a.m. becomes a familiar companion. I study the tenancy laws of our city, our state, until I know them better than my own name. I create spreadsheets, databases, photographic evidence. Every interaction, every request, every potential lease violation is logged, time-stamped, and filed. The lease agreement she signed with Mr. Chen, the one I inherited, becomes my Bible. And it's surprisingly full of exploitable clauses, an old, somewhat lax agreement that Mr. Chen, in his kindness or perhaps naivete, never bothered to enforce. Clause 7. No alterations to the property, including painting, without prior written consent from the landlord. The garish purple accent wall Amy apparently painted in their living room? Violation. A polite but firm notice is issued, demanding it be returned to its original landlord-approved beige within 7 days, or they will be billed for professional repainting. Clause 12C. Trash and recycling receptacles must be stored out of public view except on designated collection days. The overflowing bins left by their side door for 3 days straight? Violation. Photographic evidence taken. Another notice. Another potential fine. Clause 15A. Quiet enjoyment. Tenants shall not cause or allow any noise or activity on the premises that disturbs the peace and quiet of neighbors. The loud music from their late night. Just moved in and are trying to forget our troubles party last weekend? Oh, I have several neighbors, myself included, willing to testify to that disturbance. Violation. A warning this time, but the threat of further action is clear. My demands are relentless, petty, and entirely within my legal rights. I am retaliating, yes, but with the cold, hard precision of the law on my side. I am tightening the noose, slowly, methodically, suffocating her with 1,000 tiny paper-cut aggressions. Each notice, each warning, is another turn of the screw. Amy, Sarah's usually pragmatic sister, tries to intervene. She knocks on my door one evening, her face a mixture of frustration and exhaustion. "Marcus, can we talk?" "Amy," I say, my voice polite, almost welcoming. "Come in." She looks around my sparsely furnished apartment, a stark contrast to the chaotic, emotionally charged environment I imagine their house has become. "Marcus, this has to stop," she says, getting straight to the point. "You're driving Sarah crazy. You're driving me crazy." "I'm simply enforcing the terms of the lease agreement, Amy," I reply, gesturing for her to sit. She remains standing, a clear indication this is not a friendly visit. "An agreement your sister willingly signed." "This isn't about the lease, and you know it," she says, her eyes flashing. "This is about the money. This is about revenge." "Sarah made her choices, Amy," I say, my voice hardening. "She's experiencing the consequences of those choices, as am I, if you recall." "She's a mess, Marcus. She's trying to get back on her feet. Don't you have any compassion?" Compassion? The word feels like a foreign object in my mouth. I had compassion, Amy, for years. And where did it get me? $50,000 poorer and a world of lies richer. My compassion, well, as you can imagine, has run a little dry. Her attempt at mediation fails, predictably. She leaves, angrier and more frustrated than when she arrived, muttering something about me being a heartless bastard. Perhaps I am. Sarah has a way of bringing out the worst in people. Or perhaps the worst in me. The escalation continues. I schedule routine property inspections with the minimum legally required notice, disrupting their days, making them scramble to hide any evidence of their increasingly chaotic lives. I nitpick every tiny detail, a crack in a window pane, pre-existing, but I discover it now, a loose floorboard, the state of the small, untended garden. Each inspection is a fresh opportunity to document, to pressure, to remind them who is in control. And then, the discovery that chills even my vengeful heart. I'm doing my late-night perusal of their social media, not for her sob stories anymore, but for any gleanable intelligence when I see it. A tagged photo, posted by one of Sarah's more dubious friends. It's a grainy, poorly lit shot, but unmistakable. Sarah at a poker table. Not a casino this time, but what looks like a private underground game. There are chips in front of her, a drink in her hand, a look of desperate, feverish concentration on her face. The date stamp on the photo? Last night. She's gambling again. Despite everything. Despite losing our down payment, despite being on the brink of eviction from her previous, and now current, rental. Despite the emotional and financial wreckage she's caused, she's still doing it. The realization hits me like a physical blow. She's not just weak, not just irresponsible. She's truly, deeply sick, and utterly, terrifyingly resistant to help. This changes things, or maybe it just reinforces them. My resolve, which had perhaps begun to waver ever so slightly under Amy's frustrated pleas, hardens into something akin to granite. This isn't just about revenge for a past betrayal anymore. This is about containment. This is about protecting myself from any further fallout from her destructive orbit. And if that means making her life so unbearable that she has no choice but to leave, to disappear from my world entirely, then so be it. The section cliffhanger is stark. Sarah is gambling again. The cycle is unbroken. And my role as her landlord, her tormentor, takes on a new, darker shade. This isn't just a game of cat and mouse anymore. This is a battle for my own sanity, my own future, against an opponent who seems determined to destroy not only her own life, but also any life that touches hers. And I am more determined than ever to win. The eviction notice is the culmination of weeks of meticulous, soul-crushing work. Multiple documented lease violations, ignored warnings, unpaid fines for damages, and unauthorized alterations. It's all there, legally sound, irrefutable. It's also, I know, a death sentence to her fragile stability. I don't post it on her door. I don't mail it. I decide to deliver it myself, not for any sense of pleasure, not anymore. The initial thrill of the revenge has long since curdled into something grim, something heavy. But I need to see her face. I need to witness the impact of this final, decisive blow. It's dawn. A pale, watery sun is just beginning to touch the rooftops. The air is cool, damp with morning dew. And there she is. Sarah. Sitting on her front steps, her head buried in her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. The crumpled eviction notice lies beside her on the damp concrete. Amy must have found it taped to the door after I'd left it there before sunrise, unable to face her directly with it after all. She looks up as I approach, her face a wreck. Red-rimmed, swollen eyes, tear-streaked cheeks, a look of utter, desolate despair that cuts through my anger, my resolve, like a shard of glass. She's hit rock bottom, and I'm the one who pushed her there. "Marcus," she whispers, her voice hoarse, broken. She doesn't even try to sound angry, defiant. There's nothing left but emptiness. I stop a few feet away, the crisp morning air suddenly feeling heavy, unbreathable. I'd rehearsed what I would say. Something cold, something final, but the words die in my throat. Looking at her now, a crumpled, weeping mess on the steps of my house, the house she's about to be thrown out of because of me. The victory feels sickeningly hollow. I have nowhere to go," she chokes out, fresh tears welling. Amy can't afford to support us both. Not anymore. She's kicking me out too after this." A new layer of misery, evicted by her landlord, abandoned by her sister. She's truly alone. And I, in my quest for vengeance, have become the architect of her complete ruin. Before I can respond, the front door creaks open and Amy steps out, her face a mask of cold fury. If Sarah is broken, Amy is incandescent with rage. "You!" she spits, her eyes blazing as she fixes them on me. "Are you happy now, Marcus? Is this what you wanted, to see her like this? To destroy her completely?" "Amy, this isn't—" I begin, but she cuts me off. "Don't! Don't you dare try to justify this. I know what she did, Marcus. Believe me, I know, it was unforgivable. But this—" She gestures towards her weeping sister. "This is cruel. This is sadistic. This isn't justice. This is you enjoying kicking someone when they're down." Her words hit me harder than I expect. Sadistic? Is that what I've become? The thought recoils through me. "She was gambling again, Amy," I say, my voice low, trying to regain some of my earlier conviction. "I found out. Even after all this, she hasn't learned a thing." "Learned a thing?" Amy laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. "You think this is about learning a lesson? You think this is some kind of behavioral experiment you're running?" She steps closer, her voice dropping to an intense, trembling whisper. "Do you even know why she gambles, Marcus? Do you have any idea what she's running from?" I stare at her, taken aback by the question. Running from? I'd always assumed it was a weakness, a character flaw, a thrill-seeking addiction. I'd never considered it might be something else. Sarah, who had been listening with a kind of numb detachment, suddenly lets out a choked sob. "Amy, no, please." "No, Sarah." Amy turns to her sister, her voice surprisingly gentle, despite the anger still radiating from her. "He needs to know. He needs to understand what he's doing." She turns back to me, her eyes boring into mine. She gambles, Marcus, because it's the only time her head goes quiet, the only time she can forget. Forget what? I ask, a knot of unease tightening in my stomach. And then Amy tells me, or rather, Sarah, in a halting, broken voice, prompted by her sister, tells me, a story I'd never heard, a story from her childhood long before I knew her, a trauma, a secret she'd buried so deep, so effectively, that even I, who had loved her, who had lived with her for 5 years, had never suspected. A story of abuse, of fear, of a pain so profound that it had shadowed her entire life, twisting her, shaping her, driving her towards any escape, any momentary oblivion, no matter how destructive. The gambling. It wasn't about the money. Not really. It was about the noise, the lights, the adrenaline, the momentary illusion of control, the brief, blessed silence in her head when the demons of her past were drowned out by the cacophony of the casino. As I listen, the carefully constructed walls of my anger, my righteousness, begin to crumble. The image of Sarah, the deceitful, reckless gambler, is replaced by a new, more complex, and infinitely more tragic one. Sarah, the damaged, haunted survivor, desperately, self-destructively trying to outrun her own shadow. My carefully orchestrated revenge, my meticulous, legalistic campaign of harassment, suddenly feels small, petty, and appallingly misdirected. I hadn't been punishing a villain. I'd been kicking a victim. The eviction notice, still clutched in Sarah's hand, seems to mock me. My victory is a sham. It's built on a foundation of ignorance, of a profound misunderstanding of the person I claimed to know. This is the mini cliffhanger, the moment Sarah reveals something that changes everything. My neat narrative of betrayal and justified retribution is shattered. She's still responsible for her actions, for the lies, for the $50,000. But the why changes the entire equation. My first moment of doubt about my revenge isn't just a flicker. It's a seismic shock. I look at Sarah, truly look at her, perhaps for the first time. And I see not just the woman who betrayed me, but a woman in unbearable pain. A pain I have just in my quest for my own twisted form of justice made infinitely worse. The section cliffhanger is no longer about her fate. It's about mine. Marcus learns the truth about why she started gambling, and in that truth he is forced to confront the man he has become. The question is no longer what will happen to Sarah. It's what will Marcus do now that he knows, now that his righteous anger is poisoned by a devastating, unwelcome empathy? The answer, I realize with a sickening lurch, is far from clear. The ambulance pulls away from the curb, its flashing lights painting streaks of red and blue against the pre-dawn gloom before disappearing around the corner. The wail of its siren fades, leaving an unnerving silence in its wake. Sarah is gone. Not evicted, not yet, but taken. A severe panic attack, Amy had called it, her voice tight with fear and accusation as she dialed 911. A breakdown brought on by the eviction, by the confrontation, by everything. I stand in my own doorway, watching them leave. The antiseptic smell of the paramedics' kit, a faint clinical aroma, seems to linger in the air, a chilling reminder of the morning's drama. My house, the one I bought for revenge, feels suddenly cold, empty. My victory, so meticulously planned, so ruthlessly executed, feels like a mouthful of ashes. Amy had shot me one last look before climbing into the ambulance with Sarah, a look that could strip paint. It wasn't just anger. It was contempt, and, disturbingly, a flicker of something that looked like pity. Pity for me? I retreat into my own empty house, the one that was supposed to be a fortress of my triumph, but now feels like a self-imposed prison, the carefully compiled files of Sarah's lease violations, The spreadsheets, the photos, they sit on my desk, a monument to my own small-minded cruelty. I stare at them, and I feel nothing. The fire of my vengeance has been doused, not by satisfaction, but by a cold, dawning shame. The truth about Sarah's past, her hidden trauma, has unraveled me. It doesn't excuse what she did. It doesn't bring back the $50,000 or erase the lies. But it casts her actions and my reactions in a stark, new, and deeply uncomfortable light. I'd wanted to punish her for her recklessness, for her betrayal, but I hadn't understood the depth of her sickness, the desperate, clawing need that drove her. I'd seen malice where there was mostly just a profound, self-destructive pain. Later that day, I find myself in Mr. Chen's small, meticulously tidy apartment across town. I'd tracked him down, needing something. Absolution? Advice? Or maybe just to see a kind face, a reminder that not everyone in the world is consumed by bitterness and a thirst for retribution. He welcomes me with a frail, courteous smile, offering me tea in a delicate porcelain cup. He looks better than when I last saw him. The sale of the house has clearly eased his burdens. His wife, he tells me, is responding well to a new treatment, a treatment they could now afford. "You did a good thing, Mr. Thorne," he says, his kind eyes studying me. "For us, you helped us very much." His words, meant as a compliment, feel like a judgment. I'd helped him, yes, but at what cost, and for what reasons? "Mr. Chen," I begin, the words tasting awkward, unfamiliar. What if you do something you think is right, or justified, but it ends up causing more harm than good? What if it makes you into someone you don't recognize?" He sips his tea, considering my words. The quiet wisdom of his age seems to fill the small room. "Life is complex, Mr. Thorne," he says finally. "Sometimes we act out of pain, and pain can blind us. It can make us cruel, even when we believe we are being just." He pauses, his gaze distant, as if looking back at his own long life, his own mistakes. "Forgiveness, Mr. Thorne. It is a difficult path. Sometimes forgiving others is the only way to forgive ourselves." His words resonate, deeper than I expect. Forgiveness. It's a concept I haven't allowed myself to consider, not for Sarah, and certainly not for myself. My revenge, which had felt so righteous, so necessary, now seems like a futile, destructive exercise. It hasn't healed me. It hasn't brought back what I lost. It has only deepened the wounds for both of us. It has, as Mr. Chen so gently implied, made me cruel. I leave his apartment with a new, heavier weight on my shoulders. The weight of my choices. The weight of the man I've become in pursuit of this hollow victory. The image of Sarah, broken and sobbing on those concrete steps. The wail of the ambulance siren. Amy's contemptuous glare. They play on a loop in my mind. My crisis of conscience isn't a fleeting moment of doubt anymore. It's a full-blown reckoning. I'd set out to teach Sarah a lesson, to make her pay. But what was the real cost? Her sanity, my soul? The conversation with Mr. Chen has changed my perspective, subtly but profoundly. He, a man who had every right to be bitter about his own hardships, spoke of forgiveness, of the complexities of pain. He, who benefited from my actions, unknowingly offered me a path away from the destructive course I was on. I sit alone in my house, the house I bought to control her, to punish her, and I reflect. What did I truly gain? A temporary sense of power? The satisfaction of seeing her suffer? It all feels empty now. The antiseptic smell from the paramedics seems to cling to me, a reminder of how close to the edge I'd pushed her, how close to the edge I'd walked myself. The mini cliffhanger of Mr. Chen's words about forgiveness echoes in my mind. It's a challenge, a quiet, unexpected call to a different kind of strength. The section cliffhanger is clear. Marcus must choose. He can continue down this path of vengeance, evict Sarah, and wash his hands of her, solidifying his role as the heartless, cruel man Amy accused him of being. Or he can choose a different path, a harder path, a path that might, just might, lead to some form of redemption. For her, and more importantly, for himself. The choice is stark, the stakes impossibly high. And for the first time in a long time, I don't know which way I'll turn. The taste of victory has soured. All that's left is the bitter aftertaste of my own actions. A week later, I stand on Sarah's doorstep again. My doorstep, technically. The house feels different now, tainted by the events of the past few days. The anger, the righteous fury that had fueled me for so long has mostly dissipated, leaving behind a weary sort of emptiness and a gnawing, uncomfortable sense of responsibility. This time I'm not holding an eviction notice or a rent increase. This time the papers in my hand are different. Amy answers the door. Her expression is guarded, hostile. Sarah is back from the hospital, she informs me curtly, but resting. "What do you want, Marcus?" she asks, her voice devoid of any warmth. "I need to talk to her, Amy," I say, my own voice quiet, subdued. "Please." She hesitates, then, with a sigh that speaks volumes of her exhaustion and frustration, she steps aside, allowing me to enter. The house is subdued. The defiant purple wall in the living room is gone, painted over in a neutral beige, a silent testament to my earlier, petty tyranny. Sarah is on the sofa, curled up under a blanket, looking small and fragile. She tenses when she sees me, her eyes wide with a familiar fear. "What is it now, Marcus?" she whispers, her voice barely audible. "More inspections? Another notice?" I shake my head. I pull up a chair, not too close, giving her space. The warmth of the afternoon sunlight filtering through the window casts a deceptively peaceful glow on the scene. I came to talk about the eviction," I begin, the words feeling heavy, inadequate. "And about everything." She flinches at the word eviction. Amy hovers protectively in the doorway, her arms crossed, her gaze unwavering. I take a deep breath. This is it. The choice. "I'm not going to evict you, Sarah," I say. Her eyes widen, a flicker of disbelief, of hope, warring with the ingrained fear. Amy uncrosses her arms, a fraction of the hostility leaving her face. "What?" Sarah asks, her voice trembling. I'm withdrawing the notice," I continue, the words feeling both liberating and terrifyingly uncertain. "And I'm willing to discuss a new rental agreement, something more manageable." The silence in the room is thick, charged. Sarah stares at me, searching my face, trying to understand. "Why?" Amy finally asks, her voice still suspicious, but with a new note of curiosity. "What's changed, Marcus?" "What's changed? Everything. Me, my understanding of her, of myself. I learned some things," I say, looking at Sarah, "about why you do what you do. It doesn't excuse it, Sarah. It doesn't change what happened with the $50,000, with the lies, but it explains some things. This is the honest conversation, the one we should have had years ago, perhaps, the one that got lost in the cycle of betrayal and anger." Sarah's eyes fill with tears, but these are different tears, not of despair, but of something else. Relief, gratitude, shame, maybe all of it. "Marcus, I am so sorry," she whispers, the words sounding raw, genuine, in a way her previous apologies never had. "For everything. I know I have a problem, a real problem, and I want to get help. Real help this time. I know, I say. And I do. I see it in her eyes, the flicker of a genuine desire to change, a desire born not of fear of my retribution, but of a true, painful self-awareness. We talk for a long time, not as landlord and tenant, not as accuser and accused, but as two people whose lives have been irrevocably, painfully intertwined. We talk about her past, her trauma. We talk about my anger, my need for revenge. We talk about the wreckage we've made of our shared history. There are no easy answers, no magical fixes. The $50,000 is still gone. The trust is still shattered. But something new is beginning to emerge from the ruins. A fragile, tentative understanding. A recognition of our shared humanity, our shared fallibility. The new terms of her tenancy are unconventional. The rent is reduced significantly to what she and Amy can realistically afford. But there are conditions, strict conditions. She has to enroll in a recognized gambling addiction program, a real one with verifiable attendance. She has to start therapy, real therapy, to deal with her underlying trauma. She has to agree to regular, voluntary financial check-ins with Amy to ensure she's not slipping back into old patterns. It's not a business arrangement. It's something else. A lifeline, perhaps. A chance. For her. And, in a strange way, for me too. My decision to choose this harder path, this path of uncomfortable compassion rather than satisfying revenge, releases something in me. The bitterness, the anger, the need to control, to punish. They don't vanish entirely, but they loosen their grip. My own healing, I realize, isn't about destroying her. It's about acknowledging my own part in the toxic dance we'd been engaged in. It's about choosing to be better than the man I had become. The final revelation isn't a dramatic twist. It's a quiet, internal shift. Sarah, with a long, arduous road ahead of her, finally commits to real recovery, driven not by fear, but by a desperate, flickering hope for a different future. And I, Marcus, the betrayed lover, the vengeful landlord, begin to understand that my own healing lies not in retribution, but in letting go, in choosing a different kind of strength. As I leave her house, my house, the house that had become a battleground, the late afternoon sun feels warm on my face. The air no longer smells of antiseptic or stale anger. It smells clean. Like the possibility of a new beginning, our coexistence will be complicated. Neighbors, former lovers, landlord and tenant bound by a history of pain and a new, fragile understanding. The path ahead is uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it doesn't feel entirely devoid of hope. The transformation isn't complete, not for either of us, but it has begun. And sometimes, that's all you can ask for. The first tentative step on a different, better road.